that's how a lot of this starts. People just have fun trying stuff out and then they think, hey, I could turn this into a business. The cool thing is that when you look at some of the giant brands out there, like the Estee Lauders, the Elizabeth Ardens, they were started by women who did exactly that as well. And so a lot of those origin stories have been around for over 150 years of women just going, hey, I could mix something up at home and turn it into a business. And yeah, look at where some of those companies are now.
Welcome to Super Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, Shahid Durrani. Today we have with us Lorraine Dallmeier. She is a biologist, chartered environmentalist, and award-winning seven-figure CEO. She runs Formula Botanica, the accredited online organic cosmetic formulation and business school, where she and her team have trained 19,000 organic formulators in over 190 plus countries around the world to start or grow their own indie beauty brand. Welcome to our show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's such a privilege to be here. I'm really looking forward to this chat.
Thank you. Same here. Maybe it's my ignorance, but can you help me or for anybody else? What does indie beauty brand mean?
So an indie beauty brand is an independent brand. So it often means started by one person. Often women start their own indie beauty brands and they're independent. So imagine there being a difference between the giant corporate cosmetics, the L'Oreals, the industrial beauty brands of this world, and then the independent artisans who make their own formulations at home and sell them to their local communities or sell them into retailers and take off that way.
So basically, someone that want to go more organic, they would buy from one of your students, for example.
Quite possibly, yes. And we only work with natural and organic ingredients. So yes, that would typically be what in the formulations that our graduates make. Typically, people make their first beauty product, often to give as a gift. It happens a lot. You find recipes on the internet, you find sort of recipe books, and you think, hey, I could make a lip balm. That's super simple. And then you don't just make one, you make 20. And then you're sat there going, what do I do with all these lip balms? And you give them away to people or you gift them to people. And then all of a sudden, someone will go, hey, you could sell this. I would pay for this. And then the ball gets rolling and they realize that it's an opportunity to start a business from home, doing something that they love and turn it into something sustainable that could maybe even get them out of their day job. And we've done that for over 19,000 students so far all around the world.
That's a great idea to just create something to give out, or they have this passion with the organic realm to create something. They always had that dream to create a brand. But is there anything else that inspires them to go this route? Is it financial gains as well, I would assume?
Yes, it is. But I'd say the main thing is that people often become acutely aware of the mainstream beauty products that they're putting on their body and their skin and their hair.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they think, what's in this? And then they start to read the ingredients labels and they don't understand them. And they often see a lot of complex chemical names, which might scare them a little bit. And at that point, people think there must be a more natural way of doing this. I'm sure I could figure this out. They find a recipe online, they follow it, and eventually they realize, hey, I do need some education in this. And they come to us, which is why we're the world's leading formulation school. Yeah, it is really awesome,
unique.
Actually.
Yeah, it's very unique. I never interviewed anyone with this niche before. How about Rosemary shampoos? Have you guys done that yet?
Yeah, of course. We teach people how to make shampoos, shampoo bars, different cleansing shampoos that condition as well. And Rosemary is super popular at the moment in the beauty industry. Yeah.
Yes, all over social media. I made some water too, started using it.
Yeah, interesting. No, that's how a lot of this starts. People just have fun trying stuff out and then they think, hey, I could turn this into a business. The cool thing is that when you look at some of the giant brands out there, like the Estee Lauders, the Elizabeth Ardens, they were started by women who did exactly that as well. And so a lot of those origin stories have been around for over 150 years of women just going, hey, I could mix something up at home and turn it into a business. And yeah, look at where some of those companies are now.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any kind of stories that you could share, or if you're allowed to share, from your students
Of
in
course.
recent times? Yeah.
I have thousands.
Oh, wow.
So
Like
we have
that
some fun
level?
ones. Yeah, so many of them go down that route. And I will say, and I'm sure you've covered this on the podcast before, success means different things to different people.
Yes.
So some people will literally go, this is my side hustle. I'm staying small. I'm just going to sell maybe at markets or to my friends and family. We have lots of students like that. Some people will go, I need to turn this into something that can actually support me and my family and create a sustainable lifestyle business. We have a lot of students like that. And then some of them go for global domination. And we do have students who've done that as well. So one example is our graduate, Sandra, who runs a company called Nopalera. She's in New York. She's Mexican. And she kept being told by people, Mexican products are cheap, which is a horrible thing to hear about your culture, right? I don't understand why people say that sort of thing. And she kept hearing this message of beauty products need to be Eurocentric. They need to be these sort of classic French cosmetics. And she thought, screw that. I'm going to create something that places a value on my Latin roots. And so she created her brand. She studied with us in 2020 during lockdown because she was making bath bombs and soaps at home and figured that she would take this further. Studied with us, graduated in November. By month 2, and keep in mind, there was no investment, right? She had no investment to put in the company. She literally put the course fees with us on her Amex card, bought enough ingredients for one batch, and started going. By month 2, she'd moved into commercial premises because she could barely keep up with demand. By month 3, she was stocked by 40 retailers throughout the US. And now here we are 3 years later, and she's been on Shark Tank. She turned them down. Like, they offered her millions, and she went, nope, I'm going. She does $4 million in revenue, I think she achieved in her 3rd year. And she's just taking over the world. And I love that sort of story.
I'd love to interview her if she wants to come on.
Yeah, she's a powerhouse. You need her on.
Yes,
Another
awesome.
example I have is our graduates, Bybee, they in the UK. They studied with us back in 2016, and they initially made their products at home in their kitchens, and they used to cycle a lot of the products to their customers around London. And then they started to get investment funding. They've now raised over $10 million in investment funding, and their products are stocked in Sephora, in Boots in the UK, in Target in the US. It's really exciting to see all over Australasia.
Yeah, you got my wheels going.
Beauty is big business. I mean, the beauty industry is worth over $500 billion globally per year.
So incredible. That's my next question. Having that many students with passion, with drive, with goals, lofty goals, is there enough market share, or do you have some stats you can share?
Like I said, the global beauty industry is worth over $500 billion, and it just keeps growing. And it doesn't seem to be stopping either. It's one of those industries that even in a recession, it doesn't seem to be hit that hard. Because ultimately, if you think about it, the beauty industry has spent over a century telling us that we're not good enough as human beings, right? We're not young enough. We're not smooth enough. Our hair isn't straight enough. We're not white enough. We're not thin enough. We're not pretty enough. And the only way we'll achieve any of those goals is by buying their products. So the demand is never going to go away because they've done a complete job on us as a society to buy into these brainwashing messages that they put out there. So yeah, the market is there. It's quite something.
Wow. Can you share what's the success rate with your students when they go in after they finish this course and they launch something?
I don't actually have exact figures on that. It's not something we track exactly. Saying that, what you can't see on the audio, but what you can see on the video is I'm surrounded by products, and those have all been sent to me by our graduates from all over the world. And it is quite humbling because I keep getting sent boxes and boxes from people who go, you've changed my life. And I have stacks of handwritten letters here from people going, I've completely changed my life. Thanks to you.
This is very exciting.
Thank you.
Now, what does the course entail? How long is it? What are the prerequisites, if any, and what does it entail?
basically, there are no prerequisites to study with us. In fact, we say everyone can formulate. We've all, again, been fed this message from the mainstream beauty industry that you have to be a chemist and you have to wear a lab coat and you have to be stood in a lab. Not true. Anyone can do this. In fact, humans have been formulating for millennia. And so people come to us with no knowledge of the beauty industry, no formulation experience. We teach them how to create their own formulations. So all the products around me in my office, they were all made by people who took the same course, but they all made something different, which is really cool. And then we walk them through, formulation skills, the safety components, the compliance, the legal compliance components, how to actually create everything from scratch and create an entire range of skincare or hair care.
Wow. So step by step from the business formation as well, everything to get them in the market.
Yeah, we have an entire business course too that walks you through branding,
Wow.
marketing, manufacturing, financing, retail, all of it.
So manufacturing, if they're doing the formulation themselves, do they outsource once they go into mass production?
Typically, yes. There are some beauty brands out there that don't, and they build their own bespoke formulation manufacturing facilities. It's a big undertaking. Most of them, once they reach a certain stage, like the graduates I was talking about, Bybee in the UK, they easily produce over 1 million units a year. Of course, they're outsourcing that because how could you possibly do that at home? No, they do that themselves.
You help define the outsourcing themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At that point, they are way beyond our courses. They are flying.
This is great. And you operate in all countries, obviously. It's virtual, right?
Yeah, we now have students in 191 countries around the world, which is pretty epic. And every time I'm convinced we can't possibly add another one, then someone else will just pop up. And even in the last few months, we've added new students in Equatorial Guinea, in Sierra Leone, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, like in the island nation of Palau, which has 19,000 inhabitants. We now have a student there. I think that's awesome.
And may I know the cost of your program?
Yeah, at the moment it's 750 British pounds, which is around about $1,000.
15. Okay.
For the foundation diploma. Then we have other courses that take you beyond that. Our business diploma is probably more, I'm trying to put it into US dollars in my head, like 1,300. So yeah, it's all very affordable when you consider you could go to university and study to be a chemist and you're not going to be able to do any of this. Or you could come to us and completely change your life.
It's sustainable too, and that's where the future is moving. I interviewed 2 ladies that created this bed sheet material, sustainable bamboo. They're making it big. And it was very intriguing where the industry is going and what people are looking for when they're making purchases now. They're more, I would say, wiser as consumers. And especially now that you're talking about their skin, it's a no-brainer.
It is. In fact, I run the Green Beauty Conversations podcast, which is all about sustainability in the cosmetics industry. And because I have no big corporate overlords, I can say whatever I want. So I do, because there is a ton of greenwashing out there from the big industrial players. And it's really nice to explore what sustainability actually means in relation to a cosmetic product.
From your data, what is the best line to get into when you launch a product? Can you speak about that?
Yeah, of course. It varies, of course. In recent years, we've seen skincare really rise up, particularly during lockdowns. I know body care is massively on the rise at the moment. But realistically, we say to our students, go and find a niche where you can stand out. Like the example I told earlier of our graduate who said, I'm going to make a line that puts Mexico on the map, that shows people that Mexican products aren't cheap. And then she made a body care range with it. And sometimes the messaging around what you make is almost more important than the products. The products have to be good. They have to work. But if you can find a hook that makes people sit up and pay attention, and you can change their lives through the products that you make, then that is more powerful. So that's how we try and position the students.
And you said if it works, that's where you come in, right? Your education shows them how to create a product that works.
Yes, absolutely. So we teach skincare, body care, facial care, hair care. We even have a tiny bit of makeup at the moment in our membership platform. So There's a huge amount to learn, and it's fun. Like, it's really fun and
Mm.
empowering, because at the end of it, you have a product in your hands that you made with your own hands.
And from start to end, how long does that take?
It's a self-study program, so some people will
Yeah.
be out of it within 2 months, and some people will take a couple of years. It just depends how much time you can put into it. I suppose that's the same with all online learning, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And the ingredients is that they use, you educate them on how to put it all together, but
Yeah.
they have to source the ingredients. For example, the rosemary idea. Is
Yeah.
that something the student will have to go and find a supplier of rosemary and then find a way to create, or you will show them how to actually make it into a formula?
So we work with our students and give them a supplier guide. So we've been going now for over 10 years. So we have huge amounts of information about suppliers globally. And when you enroll with us, you get a supplier guide with over 400 global suppliers in it. And my team has put that together because I have 45 staff. But also, we've crowdsourced that information from our 19,000 students by saying to them, who do you buy from? Who
Oh,
do you recommend? And so we're constantly being sent recommendations. And also, we're also being sent information about who to remove from it. And then several times a year, we update our supplier guide, and our students continue to benefit from that.
your program, does it teach how to create that uniqueness? Obviously, the messaging behind the Mexico idea is great,
Yeah.
but the actual formula to put it together, is
Yeah.
that also part of the guide?
Yeah, absolutely. We show them step by step how to make a cleanser or a toner or a shampoo or a facial serum or a lotion bar. It's all in there. And actually, that's the easy bit. The hard bit is trying to figure out how you as a person want to change the world through your brand. And that takes a little bit of
Mm.
time. But the ones who really think about it, they come up with something magnificent.
Mm. Are men in your program as well? Is it just for female or male, or
No,
is it
it's
open,
it's for
obviously?
anyone who wants to take
Yeah.
it. But I have to say, the vast majority of our students are women. That has
Mm.
always been the case. I fully expect that to always be the case. There are certainly men
Mm.
in there, and quite a few of them have launched brands as well. But I'd say it's probably, I don't know, 5% men and like 95% women.
So men's is a open field to create a
Mhm.
men's line through your program. There's a good opportunity.
Oh, yes, there is a massive opportunity out there. And realistically, the beauty industry has only been targeting men for their skin, for even male makeup for the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years. And that is only going to grow in messaging, in marketing. So the potential there is enormous.
Yeah, I was thinking that because they could benefit someone in the audience. Could be a very good idea for them.
Yeah, I completely agree. And
Yeah.
there are so many untapped
Yeah.
niches out there. People often
Yeah.
think that beauty has to conform to a certain type, a certain message, a certain product. But actually, if you're an entrepreneur, you can come up with anything. And that's really
Yeah. So
liberating,
wonderful.
actually.
Yeah. It is liberating, isn't it? And
Yeah.
the lady that you mentioned for the Mexican brand, she's
Yeah.
not actually manufacturing in Mexico. She's
Nope.
just branding it based on Mexico. Is that correct?
She is really infusing her heritage into it. So she's using the
Okay.
nopal cactus. So, first of all, her
Oh,
brand
so
is,
she's getting the
yeah,
products from Mexico.
I
Okay.
think
Okay.
she's getting some of the ingredients. I don't know. You should get her on
Yeah.
a podcast and ask. But she is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
out there championing
Curious.
the Latino community and putting them on the map. And I think
Hmm.
that's really the main objective. But I'm putting words into her mouth now, and I would much rather
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
invite her on because
Just
she is
curious.
awesome.
Yeah, definitely introduce us. That'll be great.
Will do.
I want to understand the decision. You purchased this, right? That's correct. And during your maternity, can you share with us what drove that decision?
I'm a biologist by training, and I worked as
Yeah.
an environmental scientist for 12 years. And I worked in big corporates around the world. And I kept coming up against this glass ceiling where I was told, you're too young, you're too inexperienced, you can't do this, you can't do that. And the whole time I was just sat there going, I find this so frustrating. These people are idiots. They can't get anything done. And so when I was on maternity leave, I realized I had headspace I hadn't slept for months, but I had headspace and I felt like hell, as you do with a newborn baby. But I thought this might be my one opportunity to just get out of my corporate job. And so I took an online course on learning how to formulate. And at the same time, I decided to make an iPhone app on making your own DIY beauty products. I was watching the BBC's Apprentice as I was sat there with my newborn baby on the sofa. And it's the same, I think, in all the Apprentice series around the world. I've watched the US one as well. And these people are often not the sharpest tools in the shed. And you watch them run around and they're struggling. And I was just watching them going, if these people can do it, then I absolutely can do this. So I launched an iPhone app within a year of that decision on how to make your own DIY beauty products. And that was downloaded in over 100 countries. It did really well. I got quite a lot of publicity from it. And I thought, okay, what's next? I'm going to learn how to make my own beauty products professionally and sell them. And so I took this online course. I loved it. And then I had the opportunity to take it on when I was on my second maternity leave. And I thought to myself, this could be great. At first, it was supposed to be my side hustle, my hobby. And I was supposed to run it for an hour a day. But I spent most of my maternity leaves feeding my children and reading about marketing at the same time. And so all that knowledge that I'd soaked up about digital marketing, I finally had an opportunity to put it into place. And it flew. And within 4 months of taking over and buying Formula Botanica, it was just me at the time, I had recouped my investment and I was like, we're off. I quit my job and I said, let's do this. And I don't work an hour a day anymore. I now have 45 staff. Imagine. We do millions in revenue, and it was a very good investment.
Congratulations on that decision. I was very much curious. I appreciate you for coming on our show. And definitely, I could see it creating so much freedom for so many people that I just don't know what to do with their life. And they have these ideas. They can create their own product, how huge that is, and you're creating that for them. So that's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for those kind words. And thank you very much for having me on. It's been a pleasure being here.
My pleasure. And definitely keep in touch. Once we go live, we'll send you the information. If you can help us promote your episode, that'd be wonderful. Yeah. And thank you. Take care.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.